has joined us. This is Ukraine Media Center at Ukrinform. It is 174th day since the beginning of the full-scale invasion by the Russian Federation. I'm grateful to everyone who shares the word about the defense of the Ukrainian nation. And right now we will be discussing the experts of grain and the government support for the agribusiness. We have with us Roman Slastyon, the director of the Ukrainian Agribusiness Club. So let's begin with the grain experts. It seems all the corridors are operational already. So what is the current situation? Yes, indeed. Experts are crucial, not only for leveraging the existing agri potential, but also this creates a condition for the next season, because we have already started the sowing campaign for the next years. In just 2 weeks, the campaign on sowing the wheat will start, and the success of this campaign will define the scopes of experts. In July, when we did not have the C channel of experts, we managed to export 2.7 million tons, which is a reasonably good number, but the downside of that was the high cost of logistics. And as a result, the agri-producer received just 1/3 of the global market places, about $100 per ton. So there are really good hopes for this grain export corridors through the 3 ports of Odessa region, and last year's remaining grain will be exported, which is about 17 or 18 million tons, including the oil cultures, but also there is new harvest, which also needs to be exported to get the foreign currency for our state. Well, we can see the positive dynamics when it comes to the corridors. The expectations were higher, of course. We wanted to see it more active, but we can see that within the first 2 weeks, 16 ships have left the ports. In total, of 450,000 tons, the majority of which are the vessels that were loaded before the invasion, but still the new vessels are coming. The main fear is that we will not have enough of the new vessels that would ensure the proper scope of exports, which is at least 3 million tons through the seaports. And this is something that the 3 ports of Odessa region could ensure. The only issue here is to actually ensure the new vessels. So thanks to the guarantees provided by the UN and Turkey, there is actually some there are some preconditions for the owners not to be afraid. There were no serious incidents with the ships, so we hope that the corridor will be active. And speaking of the storage of grain, this is something that agribusiness has faced this year. So how are you dealing with this issue? Yes, indeed. There is some lack of storage facilities for about 10 to 15 million tons. Indeed, some work is underway. The agri-producers understood this, and of course, there are some stores from the last year. So these polymer sleeves were contracted for a temporary storage of grain for a year or even a year and a half under the conditions of the proper quality of grain and observant the storage technology. So this scope of 10 to 15 million tons will be covered by these polymer sleeves that will be stored in the open air. In this regard, we are expecting support from FAO that they can provide, and also there are many other organizations partaking in the supplies of these polymer sleeves, and also very importantly for the equipment necessary for loading and unloading of grain. That's because we also lack some of the equipment. And one more ways, which is not really good, but something that will probably be put into action. Many agri-producers will actually have no money for the storage of corn, or will have no capacity to harvest it. Many of the fields, some of the fields, will be staying with the corn on them. So it all depends on the experts, on the money coming in from the experts, and also there is a big hope for the government support programs, including the financing program. Okay, let us discuss this in more detail. What kind of support programs are there, and are they sufficient for the agribusiness? The major program provided by the government is the bank loan program that was available in spring till the 31st of May. This is how we managed to complete the sowing campaign on all the agricultural lands that were available and located on the government-controlled territories. Surely we could not do that on the occupied territories, but the territories that were here and that were liberated, such as Chernihiv and Sumy regions, the sowing campaign took place almost to the full extent. And thanks to the government guarantees, the scope of the sowing and observing the proper technology was ensured. Right now, there are huge expectations that this program will be expanded. This were the loans due in 6 months. We understand that quite soon this period is expiring, but since the experts are limited, agri-producers do not have enough money to pay back. So hopefully the government with the international partners will find opportunities to finance the sowing campaign for us also to have a harvest in 2023. If we do not do this right now, we will have considerable problems with experts. Right now, without these programs and without the increase of experts, we are expecting 30 to 60% of gaps in the sowing campaign. So are you expecting some, are you observing some redistribution of cultures used by our agri-producers? Some experts told that they will opt for cheaper products. Is this happening already? Well, it's not the issue of price, it's the issue of the price per ton. We are limited in logistics, and we are limited in the amount of tons per month, and the cost of such logistics can be as high as $200 per ton. And it's a decision that the agri-producers need to make. They can keep growing corn if they want to have losses, or instead they would be growing soya or sunflower, and the ton of product in this case costs more. So such change of the use of cultures is indeed expected. And speaking of corn or other cultures, there is a big need in fertilizers, and again, because of the lack of money, to an extent the agri-producers will be switching to other countries, but this mainly has to do with exports. As for the internal market, it is covered. There will be no serious problem with food security, but the problem since next year will be the fact that we will see the reduction of the total scope of production, and this will also entail the reduction of money. So what is your assessment of the amount of money necessary to fully support the sowing campaign? The gap, according to our assessment with the agri-producers, it's about $9 billion. And right now the gap is quite big for the fall sowing campaign. For sowing for the next year, this is a minimum amount that's necessary. If the ports get fully operational, if we arrive at the mark of 3 million tons, then we are going to be able to balance the situation somehow. But the problem is there already. It is urgent because sowing of the winter cereals has started already. We can wait a bit more, but we are just losing time, and we are also losing the surface areas of the field. I'm Victoria Shevchenko from Ukrinform. My question is about the resumption of exports by the sea. We are not hearing much about the river and rail exports. What is happening with those areas? Well, they are still quite active because the majority of traders and agri-producers, they understand that these seaports are not substituting the existing ways of export. They are an addition, because we have between 17 and 18 million tons of last year's harvest, and this year about 50 million tons, which shows us there is a necessity to export over 6 million tons per month. So this is something that our agri-sector can provide over the next marketing year. And the exports continue, and they even increase, both on the railway and also on the other types of transport, the road and river ones as well, over the last 15 days. So there is big hope that after the full resumption of work of the seaports, after arriving at least 1 million tons per month, the cost of those alternative pathways would go down. So these delivery prices that are maybe 3 times higher than usual, they will cool down a bit, and the money received by agri-producers will be higher. So the bigger share of the global prices will go to the pockets of the agri-producers. I'm Viktor Melnikov from CGTN. Can you please tell what is the total number of ships that have left our ports, and what is the scope of exports planned on a monthly basis? Over the last 2 months, there were 16 ships that left the 3 seaports in the Odessa region. They were carrying about 450,000 tons of grain and cultures. Right now, the exports continue. Right now, there are additional 5 ships that are going to be going to move in the direction of Bosporus. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. This was Roman Slastyon, the CEO of the Ukrainian Agribusiness Club. Thank you so much, dear colleagues, for your attention to these subjects. Follow our announcements. Stay with us.